Okay, here we are with another Tasciotti, with a real Italian pronunciation. Another one of the documentaries. This is a real documentary because we're going to talk about anything interesting that actually happened. And you've been kind of having an adventurous life, wouldn't you say?
Sometimes it is adventurous, sometimes it's not really that. It's more like a journey without the, fun part. That's only because it's a big world full of a lot of things going on. Maybe too much things going on at once, if you know what I mean.
Well, we wanted to hear something specific. When you go on these so-called adventures, which I think people could say it's an adventure because you're kind of going to places you haven't been. There's something new there, and you don't know how to predict it actually. So, want to think about and share something interesting when you went to a new place.
Sure.
And I mean recently. So this is according to what date they find on this documentary is something that recently happened.
Alright. Well, I guess I could talk about the month of, what's it, April, May? So the month of May. Basically, what happened in that month uh, is pretty important for me in my life. It was, I guess you could say it's like a positive thing that happened on my journey. And on my journey, there was a lot of, you know, negative things, a lot of positive things, but this is something positive that stood out to me, per se, on my timeline of my life. And let's just summarize what I was doing anyhow. I was basically just walking across the country, like, people do cross, when people do cross country runs or something. I don't know where that came from. Maybe that term actually came from people crossing the country. So anyway, I actually went across the country. It was basically a trial per se, or tribulation, or a test to just do that. So I accomplished that. So what it was from New York to Mexico. In May, well, I started walking in March. I stopped walking in June. Now in May, what happened was I was in Oklahoma. And there's just a lot of patience involved in that, if you can imagine. Now, this is like a self-sufficient thing going on. Okay, so what happened, because of my patience, basically, and because of my good attitude that people saw, someone actually pulled over on the side of the road and gave me $200. And I didn't ask him or anything. Like I said, I was being self-efficient and all that. So basically, the principle, or more importantly, the moral of what I'm talking about is patience is pretty cool. And sometimes there's an award, because, you can just meet people that do generous deeds, just like me,
Mm-hmm.
if you can believe that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm really glad that I heard that story because it's pretty exciting. Uh, I think I can relate that to things that have happened to me in the past. I don't want to go into any details because I really can't spontaneously think of anything. But I do want to say, like, around that time, I was just getting back from a trip that I did, and I didn't do it walking because I haven't really done long walks like that for maybe ever. I think I've done a few that are more than the average, especially the average American, but not as much as you're talking about. So that's why it's like it's an adventurous journey. It's like, but getting back to that thing where people can be generous, I just want to say thanks because you know of you being able to receive that. You were drawing in that kind of gift, and the kindness of strangers is what I call it because I had heard that phrase. Well, it is. I think it's in the Bible, but also I heard there was an article somebody wrote because they were taking a journey and going on horseback, and that one really influenced me, or just not influenced, but it impressed me so much because those people that are able to give and share, they always have their reasons, you know, and I'm sure that like you know, I can call them an angel. That angel, whatever kind of person they are, is like doing it because they're very generous. I mean, it's not usual. It does happen, but I guess I could safely say we want it to happen more often. But we also, to understand how that has to happen, is that we need to get ourselves in the position to receive that, to create an environment where people can transfer wealth and exchange it. And it's informal. I really like it. I don't know how, but there's got to be ways to kind of like stimulate that. It's more adventure, it's more of these kind of experiences that are good. Because if you think about it, I don't know if it's the 1% or the top, 6% of people, but they definitely have enough to go around. And even if they just give it to the next 6% of people that are like just the next tier or the next it's classism. But if they give that to the billionaires give something to the millionaires, then maybe the millionaires, maybe it could be real. Like in Reagan's time, President Reagan said there was a trickle down, and it was just a theory, and people kind of thought it wasn't going to happen, and it probably didn't. But that's not the point. It's like, what if there is a trickle down kind of culture that we can get into? I really I like that, and I think about the times when it happened to me, and that's some of those are stories that I want to reenact, and I do have a few videos from those around those incidents or events. And during the time, yeah, wow, when you were walking south, I had driven south. I was in another area, and we weren't communicating, but yeah, I had a lot of good experiences. But I was actually doing some business. I was trying out some new business. I was being an entrepreneur for a month or so, almost a month and a half. But let's end this, and that's a good documentary for now. We're at 9 o'clock this night in the state of New York.